Our excellent adventure begins. Tell me a story.
My name is Michael.
My name's Anthony.
It's like about a
He
half
doesn't
an inch
know I'm the
longer.
fourth kid.
You still gotta get those kegs.
Come at me, you old bitch.
Eat this damn scene. Good show, everybody.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, listener, and welcome to the latest episode of M&A's Excellent Adventure, where my name is Anthony,
My name is Michael.
and we are going to tell you a story. Wow, we have been pretty consistent the past couple weeks, and I'm
Yeah.
loving it. I'm
It feels
loving it.
good.
I'm loving
Feels
the
good.
routine. I hope that our listeners are enjoying the routine of us popping up weekly and having a good time and telling
Hell
some
yeah.
awesome stories. But for those of you who are new or joining, or if you're back, welcome back. But for those of you who are new and joining us, Michael, tell them, what do we do on this show and what makes us fun or unique or just special?
What we do on this show is we tell stories. We tell
Yeah, we do.
improv stories where only one of us, this week it's Anthony. Anthony's bringing to the table a little premise, a little character, maybe a couple characters for me to play.
Mm.
And then we make up the rest from there. I don't know anything. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what the premise is. I don't know what the topic is. I don't know what the vibe is until we get into the bish. So I'm going in blind. But I'm diving head first.
Yeah, absolutely. And more importantly, Michael has not only no clue what's going to happen, I have a little inkling on what might happen, and he's going to tell a little fun story with the help of some random stuff happening on our keynote today.
Hell
So,
yeah.
Michael, that's pretty much all that we do on this show. But before we dive in, I just like to talk about a couple things just because life happens, life changes, and more importantly, we like to talk about things. So
Hell yeah.
I don't know about you, Michael. I've been watching a lot of Kitchen Nightmares and Hell's Kitchen specifically recently. All things Gordon Ramsay, but Hell's Kitchen has been on my radar the past couple of weeks here. Yeah, you ever watch Hell's Kitchen?
I think when it comes to the kitchen in hell,
Mm-hmm.
Ramsay's kind of daddy, I think.
He is kind of daddy, but more importantly, he's kind of like hardcore daddy. You know what I mean? Like he drills India, he loves you, and then he tells you to fuck off and get better, and then he tells you to never come back. And that reminds me of a certain daddy. Remind you of anybody? Yeah,
Me?
not you. Talking about the
Oh.
listener. I bet the
Our
listener can
listener's
connect.
pretty daddy. Yeah. But I will
Mhm.
say,
Or
I
their
will say,
daddies were like that. We don't know, but
if you want to kind of understand further of what we're talking about and kind of, what do they mean by all of this? What are they getting into? Just search on Google hardcore daddy, save
you'll
search
get.
off,
Oh,
and
yeah. Well,
and
the thing
you'll
is,
get exactly what we're talking about.
Google lies to you. Google filters out the important stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Better yet, go to
Yeah.
DuckDuckGo and turn off your safe search and hardcore daddy. You'll see nothing but Gordon Ramsay,
Yeah,
or some other
literally.
hardcore daddy. But yeah, really
But
wholesome
you'll get the
stuff.
gist
But
of what we mean by hardcore daddy. Yeah.
what's your favorite part of Hell's Kitchen, Michael? Like, do you like the cooking part? Do you like the interviews? Do you like the when he yells at people or
So
the challenges? Yeah, yeah.
I think in a genuine manner, what I enjoy about it is that
Mhm.
like Gordon Ramsay. So before I was familiar with the show, I always thought he was kind of an asshole. But then I was
Sure.
like, I was like, you know what? Actually, like he's somebody who's very dedicated and passionate about his craft, and he's working
Mhm.
with other people who are also dedicated and passionate about the craft. So he has extremely high expectations. And you can see, I mean, obviously all the highlights are him just yelling at people, but it's like, no, like when people do well, he makes sure to reward them for doing well and to
Mhm.
praise them. And when people are like being stupid and not performing to the expectations that they have guaranteed, yeah, he has every right to be like pissed. And like, so I think like in that sense, I'm like, he's a good leader, and I think the results that he's seen have proven that he's like a solid leader.
Yeah, that's
That's yeah.
I like that explanation. You know what I think you missed? There are people who are passionate about their craft, and there are some really shitty people who have no business
Yeah.
being in that craft. There
Yeah.
are some people who go in and they perform so terribly. I'm convinced that the producers put in really big idiots just for dramatic effect,
Oh,
at
I'm
least in the
sure.
US version of the show.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
anyone stand out in particular? Any moment that hits you home at all?
Yeah.
Any shitty contestant moment?
So it was less so with contestants for me.
Mhm.
And with, I believe, is Kitchen Nightmare, that's the one where he goes to restaurants to try to
Kitchen
like,
Nightmares where he goes to restaurants. Hell's Kitchen's where they compete. They have all
yeah,
their pro chefs working
yeah.
on stuff.
So I definitely watched more of Kitchen Nightmare.
Sure.
The moments that stood out to me in Hell's Kitchen were actually the ones where he would have like amateur chefs or like kids, because that was like, you really saw a soft spot from
That's
him,
sweet.
and that was really sweet.
That's more Master Chef level at that point.
Yeah, yeah,
But no, I think he had a young Hell's Kitchen actually now that I think about it.
he
But
might, yeah. But
mhm.
anyways, with Kitchen Nightmares, there was one that always stands out to me, and it's one of the most famous episodes, I think, where he goes to this restaurant, and it's like just the shittiest people in the world run it. The
Okay.
food's not that great. They yell at customers and ban them, and like they keep
Oh, is that
all the
Amy's
tips.
Baking Company?
Yes.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah.
Just psychotic
Oh
energy.
my god, they're
Yeah.
crazy.
I was actually talking about that with our friend Solomon the other day,
Sure,
who
yeah.
may or may not be on the show down the road. He was telling me about it, but
He's on the list.
I was comparing one of my girlfriend's mother or ex-girlfriend's mothers to Amy's Baking Company.
Oh my
And you know
god.
exactly who I'm talking
I
about,
do know who
or you
you're
have an
talking
inkling on
about.
who it might be.
Yeah.
But yeah, 1,000%. Yeah, we were talking about that. But anyways, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I love good food preparation competitions. Those are
Oh
always great.
yeah.
I always love a good ego, but more importantly, I just like to see people try their best and get absolutely roasted, which kind of leads into our premise today. So that's kind of what we're talking
Yeah.
about. So, yeah, you see what I'm doing there.
Let's see.
Anyways, Michael, anything else you want to get off your chest before we dive into the story?
I think one thing I do want to say, but is I start a little off the beaten path here, but I just want to say it so I don't forget about it later.
Yeah.
Started a video game last night called The Quarry.
Ooh.
Fantastic game. But let's dive into that a little bit more
We'll
after,
talk a little bit about, yeah,
because
yeah,
I want
that's
to
a
get
good
into the
point.
fish. Yeah.
Yeah. In that case, Michael, I think all of our listeners are like, what the fuck did I stumble onto? Right? And I think they're just ready. They're hungry. All this talk about kitchens, they want a good story they can bite themselves into. So, Michael,
Anthony,
without delaying any further, should we tell them a story?
I think it's about damn time that we tell
Tell
me a
me a
story.
story. And what a story we have for you. So, mind freaked. That's what you got. You got mind freaked. Okay, Michael, your character is Mary Richards. Okay.
Mary Richards. Okay.
Mary Richards.
Okay.
So, a little bit
Okay.
about Mary. You are very pure of heart and a very religious woman who is competing in a new baking show. New baking
Okay.
show. Okay, so it's not quite the Hell's Kitchen, but it's a baking show. Your 8 children really love your cakes, especially your amazing skill of decorating. Okay, you can make cakes, you can make cookies, donuts, you can make the whole 9 yards, but your real specialty is cakes. Okay, that's your thing. That's what your 8 children absolutely love.
Got it.
Uh, you are very devout to your faith, but the only thing you're more devout to is winning this bitch.
Hell
All
yeah.
right. So
Okay.
that's your thing. Okay. So you got a good grasp on Mary.
I think I've got a good grasp on Mary.
Perfect. Okay. And then let me tell you a little bit about me and my characters, because I got a few here just to keep the story moving. All right.
Sure.
My main character is Timothy Clem. Okay. He is the host of our show that doesn't have a name yet.
Okay.
One of your competitors, his name is Sergeant McNutt. He is
Nice.
intense. The name implies he is an actual sergeant, but McNutt is his last name. Okay. And then my other contestant here that I'm going to be using is Rick Mulberry, and he's just here for fun. He's just here to have a good time, make his grandchildren proud. He always wanted his grandkids to watch him bake on a show, and he thought this would be a great addition here. So. Sound good?
It sounds great.
Awesome. In that case, Michael, let's tell
Tell me
me
a
a
story.
story. So, you hear the music. And now we have our 3 contestants for our brand new baking show. Please welcome Sergeant McNutt. And Sergeant comes on and he's trotting along and he looks super intense. Big guy. He's just, he's got the sunglasses and everything. Yeah, everyone goes wild. And then we have. Fuck. I forgot my other character's name. I'll have to edit that out.
It was Rick.
Rick Mulberry. That's the last name. I gotta write this shit down. We're taking a pause. I made this yesterday, as you could tell. It's not fresh in my brain.
Oh, that's okay.
All right, cool. So back to this. All right. And now please welcome our second contestant, Rick Mulberry. Oh, hi everybody. It's going to be a good time tonight. Okay. Hey, I'm here for my grandchildren. I just want to make them proud and have a good time. And now our final contestant, Mary Richards. Yeah. Woo! Diversity. We got a nice lady in the house. Okay, so Mary, tell us a little bit about yourself here.
Well, I am very devout to my faith and my 8 children.
Okay.
I consider myself to be quite the expert baker, specialties in cakes. You're not going to find cakes better than Mary's cakes.
Love it.
You can just ask my kids. They love them. And I'm just ready to, give it my all. And I think through the powers that be, if the Lord wills it, and I think he will it, through a lot of prayer, that I'm going to come out on top. I have a lot of confidence, and I think that the Lord will kind of bake through me during this competition.
Well, that's great. I love that idea. And why did you choose to join us today on our show?
Well, I have a deep desire to be the best. And I think that in order to really fulfill my life's purpose, that I need to prove that I'm better than everybody else here.
Spoken like a true woman of God. All right, perfect. Well, Sarge, tell us about. Do you go by Sarge or Sergeant? I go by Sergeant McNutt. Okay, and Sergeant, tell us, why are you on this show? I'm here to win. I didn't win the war. I'm ready to win something so I can look my wife and kids in the eye when I get home. Well, that sounds very reasonable. And how about you, Mr. Rick? Tell us, why are you here? And why do you think you'd be the best cake slut of them all? Well, I always was inspired by baking. It's one of those passions I never really pursued professionally. And I think I would be an honorary cake slut because if you ask my wife, it gets pretty wet and wild. Even in my old age, it never really slowed down. So that's why I think I'd be good at being the ultimate cake slut. Well, everybody, are you ready to see these 3 sluts compete? Yeah, and they're going slut. This is Cake slice! And we're getting intense music. Yeah! This is Cake Sluts, the most hardcore baking show in the world. We have three unlikely contestants, but they are going to compete in the slippiest, wettest, hardest competition this side of the universe. So, and Mary looks absolutely appalled at what she came. Sarge is ready to rock and roll. Rick is ready to have some fun. And Mary, how are you feeling?
I don't particularly appreciate the S word being involved here. Also, there's a lot of imagery here that I see that looks a little um not very godly, which I don't appreciate.
That's
And I
what we
think that
love. So,
yeah,
sluts, are you ready to compete in your first of three challenges? Yes, I am, says Sergeant. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good time, says Rick.
well,
Mary!
even Jesus had to spend his time with sinners to lead them into the promised land, to lead them into better walks of life. So I think that's what I'm here to do. And
Yeah!
yeah.
So, sluts, our first competition in our three challenges. I need you three to make cookies that would get a man so hard he could bend a steel bar around himself. So,
Okay.
you three, are you ready? Yes, says the gentleman. Mary, you're awful quiet over there.
I'm ready to make a man's heart so firm in the belief of our Lord and Savior that he will be able to bend steel. Yes.
Yeah. So, they take you to the private interview. Sarge just walks up and he goes, yeah, I think all my time I spent pumping iron in the military, I could bend a steel bar around my thing at least 3-4 times just by myself. So I think I'm definite competition here. And then we cut over to Mary.
Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do.
Great words, Mary. Thank you very much. And then we hop over to Rick Mulberry. Rick, you know, I didn't think I'd be doing a competition quite like this when I signed up. The name was pretty vague when I signed the papers, but I think my grandkids are really gonna enjoy themselves here. So yeah, they're actually out in the audience right there, and we see the three grandkids just shouting "slot, slot, slot" in the corner. All right, we cut back to Mary. Mary, why do you think you're gonna be able to make these cookies better than anybody else?
Because I have the power of prayer on my side. And
Okay.
I
You're going to
know
use the prayer and you're going to squish it and shove it into each cookie, right?
I will be making each cookie with love, with prayer, with and like I've said before, the Lord will be baking through me today, and I know that with his guidance I cannot fail. So I think the other contestants are gonna have a pretty tough time because they're going against God. And
Hmm.
I think that you'll always lose if you're going against he who is.
I think that's pretty hardcore. I can dig it. I can dig it.
Like
And so,
explosions in the background.
all right. So we're competing. We're working frantically. And Mary, you are working your best here. But we see Sergeant and he's throwing shit into a bowl and he's mixing. And Mary, what are you doing? Mary, how are you doing over here against the competition? You got about 20 minutes left.
Yep, I'm doing really well. I'm just getting some of the final ingredients put together here. I'm going to spend a good 15 minutes praying, and then 5 minutes baking. And then while it's baking, I will be praying over the oven as well. So they should be ready to go by then. But I think that these cookies will be able to inspire As we said, a man so much that his faith would be able to bend steel is, I believe, what we were going for. So we are going to have some pretty divine cookies, if I do say so myself. And my children could attest to it. She points to her children. They are the most like obnoxious. Everyone around them is super uncomfortable. They won't sit still. They're super annoying.
They're
My
crawling over the
beautiful,
seat.
my lovely children there can attest that I believe that I'll be able to outbake a sergeant. I'm not even going to say his last name. And
It's
Richard
Sergeant
and
McNutt. Show some respect for a previous army soldier.
please, I understand that, and I do support the troops, but your last name is it's foul, sir, and I won't repeat it. And then Richard and his offspring's offspring. I don't think he really stands a chance. So um, that's how I'm going to win. But excuse me, it's just about prayer time. So I'm going to pray over my batter, and then I will pray over the baking process.
Good words from Mary. Okay. And then they're doing their thing. Okay. 5, 4, get ready. Final decorations. 2, 1. Hands off. Everyone's hands are off. Okay. So, what I asked you three to make for me today for our first round.
Ooh.
Make cookies that would get a man so hard he could bend a steel bar around himself. So, our first person, Sarge, what do you have prepared for us today? Well, I thought having some real big cookies, particularly in the chest area, and we see cookies that are mixes of thongs and breasts. And Rick is proud of himself. He has a whole assortment of various lingerie cookies. Yeah, I was thinking about all of the tail and the chest I couldn't get before or after the military. So I thought about my regrets, and I used my regrets and put them into my cookies. And after a little bit of Mary's thought and prayer, I thought, I really wish I could have some titties on a plate. And then I thought, that's my inspiration right there. That's what I have.
Disgusting. Excuse me if I could interject for a
Wow.
moment. That is horrendous. You should be ashamed of yourself. There are children here, and this is disgusting.
Children, this is how you were made and how you were fed. And he pulls up the plate, and the kids are looking very intrigued. All 8 of Mary's
your eyes,
kids
kids.
start climbing over.
Close your eyes. Close your eyes right now.
Mary's
Sit
kids
down.
aren't even
Close
paying
your eyes.
attention because they're just shitty kids. Oh, yeah, see? This is reality. And I don't think there's anything sluttier or more hardcore than showing people what they came and how they survived.
No, I disagree. I disagree. She's like in the very back, just trying to yell over the music and the fire.
Okay. So, Sarge, thank you so much, Sergeant McNutt. We're going to move on to Rick Mulberry. Rick, what do you have? Well, I thought about myself in the 80s, and what really got the woman in my life going is when I would do my disco moves. And I know you said make a man's, hard to bend a steel bar around himself. And so I decided to make a self-image, make a self-portrait, perhaps, on a cookie. And if you look at this cookie and you see a gingerbread man doing a little pose, a little disco pose, right? And he's just hanging out, but it looks like he's ready to get something going on. And Rick is just kind of sitting there, and he thinks, well, when I would do my dance moves, my wife would get really, well, the grandkids here, close your ears, but she would get pretty aroused here. So that would get me really hard. And so I thought, personal connection, there's nothing more hardcore, nothing sluttier than being true to your origin story of how you created your grandkids. And before you know it, little Lisa was born, and she had her 3 little tykes right there, James, Jimothy, and Jonathan. And I'm proud of all of them. So yeah, no Rick Jr., unfortunately, but yeah, I just try my best.
Bad taste,
And
heinous,
this is for you.
and bad.
This is for my grandkids. All right. So, well, Rick, I do got to say thank you for that heartfelt story, but I was looking for something a little more hardcore. But hey, that's just the first round. We'll see what happens. So, all right, Mary, show us, what
Yes.
do you have?
Well,
And we see these
I
beautiful Christian cookies with crosses and a little cherub with some
as you can
wings.
as you can see here, I think my faith inspired cookies really can um, make somebody just really kind of reintroduce that light into their heart and into their lives, the Lord's light. Um, and I think through these cookies here, they're very beautiful. I almost don't want to eat them because they just feel they just really bring a lot of joy into my heart and a lot of piety into my heart as well. I do think that putting um, a woman's appendages on a cookie is very wrong, and I do think it was really wrong of Rick to make a gingerbread man who unfortunately it will be damned to hell for eternity for being provocative, and I can only imagine promiscuous, um,
That
and
sounds pretty
anyway,
hardcore.
in all the wrong ways, in all the wrong ways, and this is going to kind of hardcore you into Christ, I think.
Mary, I hate to be that guy, but one of your cookies here. What is that? What is that little angelic character that you have on one of your cookies here?
A cherub here.
Yeah, cherub.
Well,
You want to dive a little bit deeper into the cherub?
it pains me that you don't know. That hurts to hear. I'm a bit offended that you aren't familiar, but I will say, just an angelic being, and I think the childlike imagery as well should be a reminder
You
to
put
us
a
that there's.
child on a sexy cookie?
Excuse me, excuse me.
Excuse me,
Don't
Mary.
use that language, and
That's
don't
that's kind
ever
of messed up.
assume
I'm
that I
gonna have
would
to
do
deduct
something
some
like
points
that.
for that.
Deduct
Hey, look.
points. These
We're
are
we're
far more filled with the potential to harden someone's faith than either of their cookies.
Mary. I feel like you're intentionally misreading the scenario here, but hey,
I
this is
don't
just
know.
round one.
I
We're
don't know what you're
going
talking about.
to we're gonna work this out. Okay, round two might be for you. We don't know yet. So, well, everybody, that is all three
We'll
of
see.
our contestants for this round.
I won the first round.
Uh,
I won the
in
first
your own
round.
little way, sure, Mary. Okay. For our next round, contestants, are you ready for your inspiration for your next baked good? Sarge is ready. Rick is just hanging out like, yeah, I'm having a good time. Grandkids are having fun, right, grandkids? Rick. And Mary, you ready? Mary, you ready?
Excuse me. I'm I'm having
Yeah,
a
okay.
conversation with
Okay.
the man upstairs. So
Oh, our
just
producer
give me a
Jeff.
moment.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
Not Jeff.
Jeff.
His name's not Jeff.
Okay.
Now I'm ready.
Okay, thank you very much, Mary. Um, well, our next premise, our next prompt, make a donut that would be suitable as a ball gag. Go! Slot, 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 slot. You hear that
Sinners,
out in the
sinners,
distance?
sinners, sinners, sinners. Just pointing to everybody in the crowd.
Every
Sinners,
single
sinners,
person.
sinners.
So we start with the interview with Mary. Mary, I really got to be honest here. What did you expect when you signed up for the show here? Did you expect anything of this kind of nature, or are you trying to tamper with the show? Tell us a little bit about you and what you're thinking right now, and your inspiration behind your sabotage that happened last round.
In everything I do, I try to think, what would Jesus do? And Jesus walked amongst prostitutes and lowly
Okay.
people. And I think that in order to be that way, that I also need to do as such. And so I thought this would be a good opportunity for me to lead people into a life of faith and excuse me, and lead them away from the sin that we are currently experiencing. It's good that you
Okay.
use a lot of fire on the show, because I think that's symbolic of where everybody will go if they continue to consume this.
That's pretty hardcore. I love it, Mary. All right, up top.
I don't partake in high fives. Those are the devil's celebrations.
He like V8s you, just like bonk right in the
Oh,
forehead. Oh, should have
rude.
taken it. All right, so next we have Sarge. Oh, I'm ready to create some balls to gag on. I'm not too sure exactly what that was. See, my time in the military did give me a lot of time to experiment before or after, or really during even. So I I think I know what I'm going for. I'm not 100% sure, but something that could double as a ball gag. I'm assuming that's something that you put your balls deep into. Not 100% sure, but not that I have, but really working on it. So yeah, I think I got something. I at least have a leg up on Mary. Rick's my real competition here, but yeah. So that's me. And finally, we get down to Rick. Well, I think Mary's kind of being a little bit of a bitch, but maybe your heart's in the right place. I can't quite figure it out. I'm really not into the fact that she's judging people before they even present their stuff. I'm just here to have fun, and I hope that she finds the real light down the tunnel here, if you know what I mean. What I'm saying is I'm hoping that she dies during this competition, but whatever, right? Anyway, I'm just here to have fun. I'm really just here to have fun. So, all right, great. Okay, well, that sounds very concerning, but well, let's take it back to our show. Okay, all three of you, I asked you to create a donut that can double as a ball gag. So, you three, are you ready to show us what you did in this time for Timothy Krem? That is myself.
I am
Mary.
more than ready to lead these people away from being led astray.
Happy for you. Sarge, are you ready? I'm ready as ever. Ready to get balls deep in this ball gag. Okay, and Rick, how about yourself? Yeah, you know what? Whatever happens, happens. That sounds great to me. All right, well, Sarge, I want to see what you have first. So please tell us what you have. Well, see, I wasn't 100% sure what a ball gag was, so I assumed it's something you went balls deep in. So I made a very suggestive donut that has some filling dripping out of it, just like kind of
Oh
similar
my
to what I
God.
imagine what would happen. I've seen pictures, but I'm not 100% sure what we're talking about here. But made something that I
Holy
thought was
shit.
slutty, something that was sexy, something that was good. And that's what I have for you today.
To all of our listeners, audio listeners, the picture being shown, the donut of Sergeant, is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen.
It's a donut that looks very. What's the opposite of phallic? What's the female version of phallic?
I am not sure.
It looks like
It's
a vagina that has
and it is
as
dripping cream
dripping cream
from
from
the
the
center.
center. So
It's
take a look at our YouTube content. Quick break. So yeah, like I said, not really sure what a ball gag is. I'm just kind of shooting my shot here, but hey, kind of fits on theme. So yeah. Well, thank you, Sarge. I guess you can kind of choke on that. What does that mean? Oh, well, anyways, moving on.
Yeah.
Moving on. Let's hear it for our main man, Rick. You might be a runner-up for first place here. We're not too sure what's going to happen yet, but so far I'm quite impressed with what you have. So Rick, tell me, what do you have? Well, I was thinking about that time when my little Lisa was born. I made one of the biggest donut holes I could possibly have imagined. Something that could fit directly in the mouth. So it kind of creates a lock jaw effect. You just can't put your mouth closed. And that was what me and my beautiful wife, rest her soul, did when our first daughter was born. And that's what I can imagine happened when our grandkids were born. I guess I haven't really asked, but that's kind of what inspired this donut hole that is so big it can create lockjaw. Wow. See, that's someone who really knows what we're going for. Someone who knows the direction, someone who has the inspiration, someone who has the creativity. I'm so thrilled that we have you on this show, Rick. Oh, thank you. And the crowd's going wild. They're like, slut, 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 slut. The grandkids are getting into it. Mary's kids are still squirming around in their chairs. They're not really paying attention. Well, Mary, I guess we had a rough start to the show. Do you think you can pull through for us this time?
I know I can do better than the previous two because those were horrendous and very evil, sinful displays.
Okay. All right. Well, instead of bashing them, why don't you let your donut do the talking for you? So, Mary, what do we have today?
Well, as you can see here,
We have a donut that looks like the cave that Jesus was crucified in, and it says he is risen on it for our audio listeners.
I think that what I have displayed here, um, so although I do not partake in this type of sinful lifestyle, I understand that a ball gag is something that is meant to silence somebody. And I think in this instance here, there's sort of an awe, a stunned silence when he is risen. When Jesus rose from the dead, it was something that was so beautiful and so amazing, such a blessed miracle that there was no words to be said. It's a loving, respectful silence that I think that this will inspire in people and will have people remember that story and have sort of a response with the said stunned silence of this miracle.
Mary, I have a real question for you.
Please.
Do you think I am a fucking idiot? Are you intentionally not reading our prompts? I said something that can silence with a ball gag. Look, yours is at least kind of in the parameters of something creative. Sarge just fucking didn't even know what a ball gag was. So I'm gonna give you some points here. But hey, look, I'm gonna give you just you know 5 points here, okay? I like
This
the
puts me in first
idea.
place.
I like the detail of the Oreo cookie being the stone behind the what I assume is some cave of some sort. I'm not really familiar with what you're talking about, but hey, I
Well,
like the creativity.
you have my
And then he
contact information, and I would love to educate you.
okay, cool. Takes a bite of it, and it's a really good tasting donut. And he goes, you know what? I'm gonna give you 8 points. The the
And that puts
quality
me
is
into
there. I just
first
need
place.
I the quality's
First
there.
place.
It's just I think you need to really focus on this next one if you want to keep maintain this first place title here because it's
I
really
knew I
neck
was
and
going
neck.
to win. I knew I
We
was
have
going to win.
we have Rick at 7.9. We have you at 8. So yeah, just gotta hope that Rick doesn't choke.
He will.
Or yeah, and yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. So all right, we get down to the final challenge here. You three have really proven to be the most eclectic group of individuals we've ever had on our new show, Cake Sluts. You also are our first three, so I guess the bar's kind of on the ground at that point. But our final round, you three, I need you to make a cake that would look good between a pair of ridiculously large knockers. Go! All right, so you all start scrambling and we take you to the interview room. All right, Mary, I got to be honest here. Tell me, what is your game?
Well, as somebody who's familiar with knocking, it's a polite way to announce that you are at somebody's door. And knockers, a lot of churches have had them, a lot of places of worship, and it's just again a very polite way. And being polite is very important to me. So something that I think would look good in between a pair of knockers is, some sort of religious symbolism, a cross, something that shows like, when you're knocking on the door, it is a door that is leading
Hmm.
into a holy place.
Hmm. Got it. Do you think you are actually going to win? What makes you think you're going to win?
As
Let me
I've
rephrase.
said before, the Lord is baking through me, and there is no way for me to lose. Also, my baking is better than anyone else's.
Got it. Well, hey, good luck to you in the last round. Rooting for you, kind of. All right, move on to Sarge. Sarge, tell me what makes you think you are going to be the next cake slut, the first ever cake slut. Well, to be quite honest, I've seen what Mary's producing. Yeah, her pastries and her cookies, they taste good. Whatever. Where's the soul? Where's the heart? Where's the love? There's nothing I love more than getting frisky with well, what I imagine getting frisky. There's nothing
Mary,
better than taking your hard soul and putting it into a baked good. So that's just why I think I would be the next cake slut, the first cake slut.
Mary storms into the room. You don't think I know about heart? You don't think I know about soul? You don't know. You're so
Mary,
fucking
Mary,
damn
please,
Mary
please
Brand.
get
She's
back in
like
there, get back in
shoving
there.
him with her finger. You have no idea. You have no idea. Don't speak of such things.
Rick's ball gag donut pops into the room. He's like, "Whoa, what happened here?" Anyways, so chaos is starting to happen in the interview room, and it's time for Rick's interview. And Rick's just like, "Well, you know, I I think that I got a leg up on Mary on this one. I got a third leg up on Mary on this one because nobody is sluttier than me. Sarge hasn't even has I'm pretty convinced he's still a virgin, right? And Mary, she acts like the Virgin Mary. She acts so pure of heart. She thinks she's so great. I just want to see that little pious lady fall off her wagon. So that's why I think I'd be the next cake slut, because I'm going to knock them off their high horses. All right. For our final round, you three, I asked you to make a cake that would look so good between a pair of large knockers. So, Sarge, for our final round, are you ready to show your cake? Why, yes, I'm beyond ready. I'm more ready than when I was in combat. I was ready. This is what I have.
Oh,
And we see
horrible. I can't
a
even look at this. I
we
can't
we
look at
see
this.
a cake that looks like a bust of a woman with her breasts out. Well,
No,
the one thing I was thinking about was what would look better
no.
between a pair of tits than another pair of tits. So I thought if I had four tits, two pairs of tits, that would outweigh any other competitor here because let's face it, who doesn't love a pair of breasts? And everyone in the crowd's like, yeah, slut,
Mary's
slut,
kids are like,
slut, slut,
yeah,
slut, slut, slut. That's how
no,
you were
no,
made, I think.
no,
They're like,
no,
yeah,
no.
yeah, yeah. And
Sit down,
so
children. Sit down.
that's what we have for Sarge. Well, Sarge, I think you get a solid score. That gave you 9 points total, which is one more than Mary. But hey, we haven't even scored Mary's yet, so she might be able to sneak back in there. All right, Rick,
I
tell
will.
us, what do you have? Well, I was really thinking about what is better than a person between a pair of large knockers. So I did a self-portrait of myself. As I did with my cookie, I thought it'd be good to go full circle self-portrait here. And I have a cake of me popping out of the cake shirtless when I was in my 20s, in my prime, when I made my children. And so that's actually surprisingly what me and my wife did right before we had little Lisa. I was sitting right there. I had rose in my hand or in my mouth, and I was just motorboating all day long. And lo and behold, now we have our three grandkids right there, and the grandkids are starting to get a little uncomfortable. And they're like, "Oh, this is a little weird. Why does Grandpa Rick keep bringing up our grandmother and our mother like this. But anyways, moving on. Well, Rick, thank you very much. I think you get a solid I don't know. I think you're tied 9. You got a 9. You're tied with Sard. Sorry. So we might have to have a tiebreaker. I'm not quite sure. Um hey, wasn't your best work, wasn't your worst work, Rick, but I think we kind of get the picture on that. So oh, okay. Well, I guess we'll see what happens. And finally, we get down to Mary's cake.
I would like to
Mary,
say first, I would like to say um, that Sargent shouldn't be allowed to be in this competition. I believe he's leading the people astray, and he will certainly be burning for all of eternity. Rick, I was happy to see a turnaround. It does make sense to have a human in between knockers because a human has to knock on the door. So
huh.
that does make sense, but I think it's lacking some creativity, and I didn't particularly appreciate the shirtless. That seemed a bit provocative, but I do think that you are taking steps in the right and more divine direction, and so I just wanted to recognize that for you.
Well, Mary, on this high hill, are you willing to die on?
I am.
Okay. Then Mary, show us what you got. And you see a, a first communion cake. It's a big cross. And it says Christians First Holy Communion on it. Very well decorated. Big cross. All right, Mary. Like I said, what's your game here? Why do you think this fits in the cake slut universe here?
I spelled it out before. In between door knockers, it's good to have a sign that this is a house of God. And so it has a cross on the door in between the knockers
Huh.
because a lot of churches will have double doors. So you have one on each door. And I said it in my interview, and that is exactly where I was going with it. I think that
Hold
there's
that
no
thought.
powerful image. And
Hold
excuse me.
that thought. Hold that thought. I need to get some guest judges in on here. And then we have 2 guest judges look around and they start dissecting your cake. And they're whispering to each other, no, it kind of looks phallic. It looks a little
Excuse me.
phallic. I can, hey,
Excuse me.
this
There is
actually a cock between a pair of ridiculously large knockers. I I think that might be the best one yet.
excuse me.
Mary, I don't think you realize how phallic your cake looks. It's awesome. It's protruding. It's got the bulge. It's got 3 balls. That's pretty huge.
No,
Mary, are you
no.
secretly a genius?
The Lord has been baking through me today.
I think the Lord put you here to be our very first cake slide. Slide.
Slide,
Mary,
slide,
that
slide,
just pulled you
slide.
into first place. Congratulations. You are our very first cake slut. How do you feel?
I feel righteous.
And scene. Mary being the first cake slut is exactly how I wanted it to go. So,
Perfect.
Michael, how are you feeling? Do you feel one with God right now?
I feel so at one with the Lord right
I
now.
think you did a lot of preaching. I
I did.
think it connected you
Mhm.
to the Lord. And
Absolutely.
I think that helped you win the competition here. How do you feel? What are you
I
thinking?
absolutely think so. That's 100% true. A hundred
Absolutely.
thousand percent true. I will say you really put me to work there because I was really the first one and the last one I was able to kind of quickly spin how I could like redirect this prompt into something else.
Hmm.
But the ball gag one was like I was struggling to like
You
how can
struggled.
I
You
make
actually
this work?
killed it. That was my favorite one. You said that they were trying to silence Jesus like someone silences someone with a ball gag. And I just thought, wow, I don't know if I'd be able to spin that at all.
That was tough. That one felt like a huge reach,
That was a
but
good
other than
reach.
that,
I
thank you.
I was thinking for the last one, like a rosary would be a great thing to have
I had
on
thought
a
about that
necklace.
once the cake was revealed. Then I was like, that would have worked too.
That
But
could
I
have
was
worked, but I like where you went with
I
it. I
went
like
with
where you went with it.
yeah, with her not acknowledging knockers as slang for
As
breasts.
slang for breasts.
Yeah,
So, Michael, I gotta ask,
yeah.
what was your favorite part of this episode here? Did you have one? Did you enjoy your
Yes, my
character?
favorite part of this episode was the reveal of Sergeant's donut. That was
Oh.
that was so hard to look
It's
at
so
sometimes. That
gross
was so
looking.
gross.
I my personal favorite moment was so Sarge's cake had tits on it, and
Yeah.
the tits had nipples, and I tried to animate it to where the sensor bar hopped on it, but it was separate, so it's just tits, and then you click it again and the sensor bar goes ka-chonk right
Yeah.
underneath.
It's
It's
like
so
we
good.
already saw
It's
him. We already
so
saw the
good.
nips.
We already saw the nips. So what's
Yes.
the point of the censor bar? Well, it's for YouTube. I can't wait to get a demonetization strike for having tits on
I
a
would maybe
cake.
make the bar a little wider just to really cover our bases and make sure YouTube doesn't take it off.
You know what we should do? We should just have just a giant censor bar on the whole thing and nobody
Yeah.
knows what it
Yeah.
is.
That would be really good. That would be
So
fantastic.
yeah, on a show called Cake Sluts, that's just expected at that
Oh
point.
yeah.
So, oh yeah. So going in, did you have any inkling that it was going to turn into Cake Sluts?
Not in the
Not
slightest.
in the slightest.
I was trying
It's
to
the
get
biggest
Mary's
curveball ever.
yeah, I was trying to get Mary's character together in the
Mhm,
realm of like a more traditional baking show. And then when it
mhm.
turned into what it was, I kind of had to switch gears into like, okay, like super pious, super like preachy. Like I had to kind of curve, yeah,
It's
into just being extremely overbearing. So yeah,
yeah.
that was fun. That
You
was a huge
absolutely sold
twist.
it. You were an Amy from
Thank
Amy's
you.
Baking Company, and I'm glad you had that as a reference because I could feel that seeping in a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. So, any other kind of cakes? What other cake or pastry would you want to make if you were in this show? What's a good prompt, I should say, for a sexual
Ooh,
slutty cake?
a good prompt.
Yeah. Because I was really when I did the ball gag, that was probably my favorite one to do. Because it was just creative. But yeah, what would you put on there? What would be your prompt?
Something like make a piece of meat so so um large or so bulging uh that it leaves a bachelorette party like in puddles or something just awful.
I my one of my first ones before I had the instead of the man so hard he could bend a steel bar around his cock, I was going to make a cake that made a woman so wet she left a puddle, and I thought that was too hard to go in right
A little
away.
too
That's a little
much.
too much right away. But I could just picture it.
Yeah.
But then I was all like, oh, but then that's just like a penis cake. And I'm like, oh, that'd be hard to put on YouTube.
Yeah.
But I kind of like the more creative stuff that we did.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. That's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
So
my god.
wild shit. Well, Michael.
This is definitely going to be, at least in season 2, this is certainly going to be our most controversial episode
You
so
think
far.
so? You think so? Is it
Maybe.
controversial?
I guess I don't know if we probably don't have any like very pious listeners who are be
I would
like
hope
offended.
not.
Yeah, probably not.
Well, we can do whatever. It's our
Yeah,
show. It's
we
our
can do
show.
whatever
And
the
if you
fuck
don't
we
like
want. It's
it,
our show.
leave a comment and tell us why you don't like it.
Oh, it made me laugh super hard on a show I just guested on, Your
Mhm.
Two Dads. Super good show.
Yeah.
Please check them out. Corey is awesome. When ending the show, he was kind of wrapping up, and he was like, usually He's like, usually I end things on like a dad joke, so that we can kind of end on a laugh. But I think we had a lot of laughs throughout the episode. If you didn't laugh, fuck you. But that just made me just busted out laughing.
I think the idea of having someone super faithful in such a hellscape is such an oxymoron. It's just funny. That's just
Yeah,
my
oh,
thing. But
100%.
oh,
Yeah.
1,000%, yeah. So whatever you liked, please tell us in the comments and email us at michaelandanthonyadventures@gmail.com. But before we start wrapping things up, Michael, you're going to tell us something about a game you've been playing.
I
Not
am.
Cake
So I
Sluts,
just
the other game.
yeah, the other game, the other
Yeah,
game.
the other game.
Yeah, so I started last night. I bought the game like a month ago, but I was
Hmm.
waiting for my wife before I really started it, and we finally got
Hmm.
kind of a chance to sit down and enjoy last night.
Hmm.
And it's called The Quarry. It is made by the same people who made the game Until Dawn, which is a
Ah.
fantastic
Hmm.
game. I think you're familiar at least a little
Yeah,
bit with
yeah.
the game.
I remember when it
Um,
came out.
yeah, and so it's super good so far. I mean, it has the same. It makes me feel the same way that it did when I played Until Dawn, which is great
Uh,
because I was Until Dawn is like I would say like a 6 to 7 hour game, depending
mhm.
on I guess how you're playing it, and I just plowed through in one sitting. It was so captivating that I
Mhm.
just boom, like I couldn't put it down. And I could have done that with this one, but it was getting really late, and I was like, I I can't really play around with sleep as much anymore because of
Uh,
the schedule. But man, is it good? It's
Ooh.
so good.
What's
For
so
those of
good
you,
about it, Michael? I have no clue what this game even looks
yeah,
like.
yeah, okay. So, um, for yeah, I guess for everybody who's not familiar, so it's a game where you play as multiple different people.
Hmm.
Right now, I think there's 8 people you can play in, 7 or 8 in the quarry.
Hmm.
Like I said, I haven't gotten super far into it, but essentially, um, it's a game where it's very cinematic and it's a horror game,
Hmm.
and you switch between all these different characters, and every single decision that you make impacts the game in some way.
Cool.
It
Like Until Dawn.
yeah, exactly like Until Dawn.
Sick.
So like your conversations will alter not only the way that other characters will start to react to that character, but can
Hmm.
also alter a character's personality. Like, oh, you were more indecisive than confident, and like it can kind of you can literally like sculpt these characters a little bit and also manage their relationships with the other characters as the story
Hmm.
is going on. But every minor decision can have a huge outcome at some
Cool.
point in the game. So it's fun to go through because you just kind of have to trust your instinct because you've no
Hmm.
idea like, oh, somebody like made a joke as we're all casually hanging out, and I could choose if this character laughs or
Hmm.
if this character is kind of like, I didn't think that was very funny. And that can have an enormous outcome
Huh.
and like change a certain part of the game. So stuff
That's
like that,
cool.
like it's very fun and interesting, and like fun to be like, how many of these characters can I have survive at the end of this game? Um,
Sure.
and it feels like you're going in blind, which is super fun. So
That's
definitely,
cool.
yeah, definitely check it out. It is a very fun experience called The Quarry.
Sick. We'll have to take a look. What do you play it on?
I played on PS4.
PS4.
I know I'm a noob. I don't have PS5 yet. I know.
Loser.
But also, I was really excited. David Arquette is in the game. Brenda Song is in the game.
Oh shit.
John
Okay.
Thompson's in the game. I believe Ariel Winter is in the game as well. Like, it's got a really good cast.
Sure. Is it one of those things where like the game, so they're not voice acting, they're also portrayed in the game, like as
So,
actors? Like,
yeah. So, like,
because like that's what
David
they do on
Arquette's.
Death Stranding. Death Stranding, if you ever played that, Norman
I have.
Reedus? Wait, what? You've never played Death Stranding?
I've never played Death
No.
Stranding.
You ever watch Walking Dead?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know the guy who played Daryl,
Yeah.
Norman
E-
Reedus. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
in Until or not Until Dawn, Death Stranding, they base the characters based on him. So like He's voice acting, and he's actually that's the game right there,
Oh yeah,
and
yep.
that's Norman Reedus. Okay, cool. So like, okay,
So the
sick.
characters, yeah, they obviously they're playing a character in it, but it
Yeah,
looks like David Arquette is voicing and looks, and like the character
that's cool.
looks
I love
like
stuff
David
like
Arquette.
that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So in Until Dawn, you had, oh my gosh, was it, I think Hayden Panettiere, I believe, was one of the actors, and so that
Mhm.
was kind of cool. But it's cool
Cool.
too because in horror movies, like it's kind of fun to see an actor that you recognize,
Mhm.
like Kevin Bacon's in the original Friday the 13th, and like, oh
No
my god, I get
way.
to watch, yeah, and it's like I get to watch Kevin Bacon fucking die.
That's cool.
So
You can
it's
murder
fun.
Kevin Bacon if you
Yeah.
wanted to. Well, not anymore. The game's over, but
Yeah.
sad
But
face.
no, yeah, if you're into horror, or honestly just really good games, and you can kind of power through the horror if you're not really into that, which it's done very well,
Mm.
definitely play it. It's so worth your time.
And speaking of horrors, check out Cake Sluts. Great show.
Yeah, fantastic show, a horror in and of itself
Yeah.
entirely.
Yeah. Super cool. I dig it. I
I
love
dig it.
it.
I love it.
Anything else you want to talk about, Michael, before we wrap up?
You know,
I think we're about that time. I think we're sitting pretty
oh,
solid.
there's two things I want to
Two
talk about. One thing I
things.
just want to reiterate: make sure to check
Mm.
me out on the podcast sphere, because I'm guesting on a bunch of shows. Two
Yeah, he
down,
is.
a bunch to go. I've got another guest spot today. I've got another guest spot
Mm.
on Tuesday and Wednesday. So yeah, I'm making my circuits. So you
Sick.
should hopefully see me popping around. Check out the episodes and the shows I'm guesting on, because I do some screening, and so I can make sure that the shows I'm
Oh,
guesting on
yeah.
are really fun. And
Mhm.
also be on the lookout next week. We have a huge event. We've talked about it on social media a little bit, but I
Ooh.
want to talk about it on here. We are going to have, including Anthony and I,
Mm-hmm.
10 people on one episode. It's a huge
Oh.
event. So M&A's, we're gonna have some reoccurring guests. A couple people, Bob Buell and Mo Pete, are also going to be on there.
Mhm.
And then 6 other friends are joining, and we are going to actually have AI create the story with all of us as characters in it.
Mhm.
So every single one of us is going in blind. So it's
Oh,
going to be
yeah.
fun. It's going to be chaotic. It's going to be crazy, but it is going to be
It's
a
gonna be like a
blast.
dinner theater almost at that point, or like a murder
Yeah,
mystery
totally.
party. Yeah.
So please be on the lookout for that. Again, that is next week's episode. We're actually recording it tomorrow.
Yeah,
For today's recording.
Michael and the whole group chat's been blowing up my phone because it's just been fun. It's been awesome chatting with them on the Discord. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're
Make sure
all
you
very
check that
funny
out.
people. Yeah.
1000%. Make sure to check us out. Michael, where can they hear us?
And
If they're not hearing us already.
Yeah, if you're not hearing us already, YouTube is a lot of fun. You're gonna get more visual effects.
I
We
love
set
the
scene.
YouTube. Oh yeah.
Definitely, I suggest YouTube. Just you get a little bit more. But hey, if you're on a commute and you just like listening to a fun story as well, check us out on pretty much anywhere that you listen to your podcasts: Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Acast, again, anywhere that
Anywhere.
yeah, Spotify is the one I usually use. So check out check us out there. It's fun for, you got to commute to work. Start your day with a fun story.
And if you loved or hated this episode, make sure to email us at michaelandanthonyadventures@gmail.com. We would love to hear what you have to say. michaelandanthonyadventures@gmail.com. Or make sure to leave us a comment, like the video, subscribe, all the things. We'll give you some more content. That sounds great. We're having fun. I hope you're having fun too. And that's all I got to say. So, Michael, anything else before we call it?
Yeah, we love engaging with the fans or the not fans, but we will respond to you. We will absolutely. So if you listen to an episode, throw a little like on there. The numbers just help us out and help us, work with the algorithm that is so elusive sometimes. And we love just palling around and commenting back and forth with people. So please, leave a little comment, throw us a little like, and we'll all have a good time together.
That's what I got to say. So thanks so much for listening, everybody. And bye-bye.
Kisses.